The story I'm about to tell you is true. If you have acrophobia or the fear of heights, turn away now. But if you can stomach a good story, stick with this. You'll find this fascinating. Susie squeezed her fingers tightly around the guardrail, looking over the observation deck to the canyon floor, 600 feet below. Her knuckles were white and her throat was dry, questioning why she ever stepped away from the visitor center in the first place. Then she heard the floor crack and felt the shudder of the platform as the deck dropped and suddenly stopped. "What was that?" Susie yelled, fearing for her life. "Don't move," her friend Halley replied, as the deck swayed up and down in the breeze. Susie turned and slowly leaned back against the rail so she could get a look at the visitor center 50 feet away, feeling the deck below vibrate in the wind. "I can't move," Susie said, petrified. "Take my hand," Halley said, holding out her hand. "I'll take you back." Then a man spoke up and said, "I wouldn't if I were you. Any movement you make could compound the vibrations and make it worse. Stay still until help comes." "The deck could snap at any second and kill us," Susie replied. "We don't have time to wait for help." Then the sound of sirens filled the air and Susie felt better. She knew help was on the way. "Maybe they can lift us off with a crane." "Impossible," the man replied. "There isn't enough room between the visitor center and the deck to park a crane." Susie shook her head and fought back tears. "There must be a way," she cried out, as the deck cracked again, dropping a few more inches, knocking everyone off balance. The man blocked the sun with his hand and looked at the helicopter. Not every helicopter has the gear for extraction. They would need a rope, or a ladder, or maybe a basket, and that helicopter looks like a news helicopter. They're here to film us falling into the canyon, not save us. "They can't just let us die," Susie yelled. "Get a grip," Halley yelled out. "You'll be fine. Just calm down." Just then Susie saw the helicopter belch black smoke and spin out of control, falling towards them at a great speed. Before anyone could duck, the helicopter crashed into the visitor center with a blast that sent the man over the observation deck to his death 600 feet below. "Oh my God, did you see that?" Susie yelled. "He's dead." "I saw," Halley replied. "We have to make a run for it." "Run to where? The visitor center's gone." Flaming gas from the helicopter drained onto the observation deck and belched thick black smoke, draining downhill in Susie's and Halley's direction. Their only path back to safety was now on fire and covered with helicopter debris. "Now what are we going to do?" Susie asked in desperation. Halley looked over the rail to the canyon ground 600 feet below. "We may have to jump," she said in a panic. "Jump? Jump to where?" Susie asked. "We're all going to die." "Would you rather burn to death?" Halley cried out. "We don't have another choice." Susie let go of the rail and ran towards the fire. Then she changed her mind and ran back to the rail in a panic. "Help me! I don't know what to do," Susie cried out. Just then, the observation deck snapped again, and the girls dropped 5 feet down and came to a sudden stop. Halley bounced against the rail and was only saved when she got caught up in the metal supports that held up the top rail. She hit her head and was disoriented for a moment. "Are you okay?" Susie asked. Halley didn't reply and momentarily passed out. Susie watched the burning fuel drain down the observation deck towards her. The deck was at a sharper angle, and the gas flowed down and finally stopped far enough away that the flames didn't reach her. Then, from above, she heard the sounds of another helicopter and saw a basket being lowered to her by a man guiding a cable from above. He was making hand gestures to indicate she should get into the basket as soon as she could. The basket lowered to the level of the observation deck, but before she could get in, another man pushed her aside and jumped inside the basket, strapping himself for safety. "Oh, no, you don't," Susie screamed, jumping on the man who stole her only chance at survival. She pounded his face and upper body with her fists and attempted to unbuckle his safety harness to no avail. The helicopter winch lifted the basket with the man and Susie inside, trying to haul them to safety when the man pushed Susie off, flinging her over the observation deck to the canyon floor 600 feet below. In a matter of seconds, Susie crashed on the canyon floor and splattered like a bug on a windshield. The deck came loose and followed her down and buried her body under a mass of metallic rubble and burning helicopter fuel. The end. Story by Keith Trim.